This is an apology video because for months now, I have spent time trying to debunk other creators who say that they could never actually control the American people because martial law is just not numerically possible. Like, there are just not enough military members to control the hundreds of millions of people that live here. And, you know, I thought maybe they'll be able to because of the budget for ICE, and they'll use ICE as part of martial law enforcement. And I really thought I had come to a conclusion there, but again, I was wrong. So I'm apologizing for that because they aren't going to be able to control us with the military. Instead, they're going to use each and every one of us. Let me introduce you to House Resolution 7114 to amend Title 18 United States Code to authorize awards for the arrest or conviction of individuals that deliberately target law enforcement officials with acts of violence or intimidation and for other purposes. This was introduced to the House yesterday, which was the 15th of January, by Representative Tim Moore of North Carolina's 14th District. There won't be a need for martial law throughout the entire country because we'll be tattling on each other for money or recognition or God knows what. And again, I will ask you to look at the past in order to understand the present and the future. And if you do that, you realize that in the 1930s, in Germany, the Gestapo existed, but it wasn't this giant police force. There were approximately 69 million Germans. And of those 69 million Germans, only 30 to 40,000 people were actual Gestapo members. And within that 30 to 40,000 Gestapo members, only about 7,000 of them were core Gestapo officers. They ruled people not through martial law, not by deploying military everywhere. They intimidated people and made people fearful. And they turned neighbors against each other because anyone, anywhere, anytime could turn you in for some act of domestic terrorism, or speaking the wrong way, or telling an off-the-cuff joke that didn't land well. These people could be your own family, they could be your friends, they could be your doctor, your librarian, the mailman. It didn't matter. You never knew who you were speaking to and what their intentions were. And this, ladies and gentlemen, if this passes from the House into the Senate and into the hands of Donald Trump, it will be signed into law. And this is how they will control the masses. They will make us lack trust in one another. And that is a place we cannot get to.
You want to talk about making sure that the citizens never unite? Start a program like this. I can't help but to be reminded of one of the actual central cores of the messaging in the book by George Orwell, 1984. One of the centralized themes in that book was that neighbors would turn on neighbors. They would turn each other in for anything. This is probably how, once they launch the digital ID, or once they launch digital currency only and eliminate cash, this is probably how you're going to get extra carbon credits. And when the entire population is starving and no one has access to the food that they're used to having, when everyone's sitting there watching their children go hungry every night, they will be desperate to get their hands on extra credits or whatever they call them whenever they launch this digital currency. People will absolutely turn against one another, and people will start lying on their neighbor and reporting them for things they didn't even see them do, reporting them for things they didn't actually hear them say, just in the hopes that they'll end up getting some sort of monetary reward out of it. This is one of the most dangerous proposed laws I've ever heard of. If this passes, it basically guarantees that we'll never be able to unite and rise up as a people against a tyrannical government. And if you think this isn't possible, look at all of the people who turned on their neighbors during the pandemic and turned them in for not wearing a mask or for having extra people in their home. There are people in this country who, with the smallest little sense of authority, become drunk with power. And those are the people that they're counting on to turn this into an effective control technique. And I have zero doubt that it will work.
I have some news for you guys. Thousands advised to stay indoors in Oregon, Nevada, California, and Georgia. Why? Thousands of residents in communities across parts of Oregon, Nevada, California, and Georgia have been urged to stay inside by the Environmental Protection Agency, aka the EPA, because of elevated amounts of fine particle pollution in the atmosphere. As of January 13th at 3 a.m. Eastern Time, PM 2.5 reached an unhealthy level across all 4 states, according to the EPA's Air Now map. Air Now uses the Air Quality Index AQI, a standardized scale that categorizes air quality from good to hazardous, to monitor, record, and communicate air quality conditions across the United States. Why does this matter? According to the EPA, unhealthy levels of PM 2.5 can affect all members of the public. However, those in sensitive groups, including the elderly, children, and individuals with certain health conditions, may experience more severe health effects. PM 2.5 is considered one of the most dangerous forms of air pollution. Lord have mercy. According to the EPA, as the particles are so small, less than 2.5 micrometers in size, they can be unknowingly inhaled and penetrate deep into the lungs or bloodstream. This has the potential to trigger or worsen cardiac or respiratory issues such as asthma, or cause symptoms such as coughing, throat, eye, and nose irritation, shortness of breath, and chest tightness. Numerous studies link particle levels to increased hospitalizations and even death from heart or lung disease. Both long and short-term particle exposure have been linked to health problems, the EPA warns. Y'all, so if you are in Oregon, Nevada, California, or Georgia, that is weird how Georgia is kind of just thrown in there. Am I tripping? Y'all, look at this map real quick. Hold on, let me make it bigger. Look where Oregon, Nevada, and California is. And then look at where Georgia is. Why? That don't make you scratch your head? Like, why these particular states? And Georgia is nowhere near Oregon, Nevada, and California. So why would Georgia have bad air quality like that on the same level as them? Was there something dropped off in the air or something? Like, what? Come on now, somebody make it make sense.
I'm going to say the obvious guess here is they've been doing too much weather manipulation. The government is spraying too much stuff in the atmosphere. It almost feels like as the talks ramp up about what the government's doing to our air quality, as the truth starts to be revealed about how they're destroying our soil, it almost seems like they're trying to hurry up and get the job done before new laws are put in place that are going to stop them from doing it. I mean, that is the most obvious guess as to what's going on here. And I don't really have any theories as to why Georgia would get lumped in with these other 3 states. It doesn't really make any sense unless, and I don't know if something like this exists, but if there's some sort of a tracker or something that someone has up that's keeping tabs on how much heavy metals they're spraying into the atmosphere over each state. It may just simply be that contracts for chemicals being thrown out into the atmosphere over these 4 specific states has increased in recent time. And maybe with the lower temperatures, it's just not dissipating the way it usually does. And so all of this stuff is just staying in the air. But I'd really like to hear y'all's theories, not just on what you think the cause of this is, but why exactly Georgia got lumped in with these other 3 states. It just doesn't make any sense because they're on the entire other side of the country. Hey, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to drop your theories and your comments in the comment section down below.
Okay, did you guys hear that Elon Musk, this was announced January 1st, by the way, is planning on high volume implant production, the Neuralink brain implantable microchip. High volume production starting this year. And he also wants the surgery to be automated. So it would be AI installing AI into humans. Now the question is this beneficial for us? Or is it part of an agenda and basically the mark of the beast? Well, I wouldn't say it's the mark of the beast yet because that requires it to be, you cannot buy or sell without it. And I'm pretty sure in 2026, if you get the brain implant or if you don't have it, you'll still be able to buy and sell. But is this the start of something? And now here's the crazy part. If you go to Greek beta code, which is an alphanumerical way to go to, you type in words in English and it calculates it into a number. And this goes back thousands of years. Neuralink equals 666. So is that a coincidence, you have to ask yourself? You know, I personally believe that a decalcified pineal gland is the original organic Neuralink, because it connects you to the natural world and the divine frequencies that exist all around us, not freaking Wi-Fi. It will sell it to you as making you superhuman, but in fact, it would make you inhuman. Why is it that they push so hard for everything synthetic, focusing on brain implantable microchips instead of our food supply? And while fertility rates are off a cliff?
I would say just because they haven't already announced that if you don't have a Neuralink, you're not going to be able to buy and sell and participate in the economy, I wouldn't say that that discredits it from potentially being the mark of the beast. If they came right out and told everyone up front, if you don't have a Neuralink, then you're not going to be able to buy and sell, everyone would quickly put two and two together. What they need to do is roll it out slowly, get as many people using it as possible, and then after the majority of the population has it already, then they institute these new rules. And anyone who has any concern whatsoever over their own personal human autonomy is not going to get one of these things. And that's mostly going to be Christians who view manipulating their mind as altering God's original creation. I would say it's highly likely that this, or one of those wearables that Bill Gates is talking about putting in the back of your hand, I would say this definitely qualifies as potentially the mark of the beast. Every day we're getting closer and closer to the description of what it was like in the days of Noah's flood, which is exactly what Revelation tells us is going to be the environment during the final days. The fallen angels were corrupting God's original creation, and that's why God had to wipe everything out and start fresh. And now the elites are using technology to attempt to alter God's creation. In a very real sense, it's essentially the same thing.
No region in this country is beyond the reach of the devil worshippers. Even here in the heartland of America, stories of ritual abuse crop up. The children you're about to meet were born into it. They say their parents forced them to witness bloody rituals, and even they say to participate in ritual murder. Now in the safe haven of a concerned foster family, the children are haunted by their personal nightmares.
My dad was involved in a lot of it. He's like one of the main guys. He's a leader or something. He made us have sex with them and with other guys, and he's done it with other people. I don't know, I just don't like him.
Tell us what else besides having with him and the other guys that made you do.
Kids and be there and involved in everything else that happened. And I had to be there. And if I didn't, he threatened me like, you're gonna be, the people aren't gonna believe you if you tell anybody. Or I'll find you, you know. So he said there's no way out and you must do it.
We found out she had been on, that it was smeared all over her body and put in her mouth.
My children have talked about all of those things and worse. They've talked about having to other children.
Well, she told me about the time from as we think was about a year and a half, 2 years old, when this was the satanic cult that she was involved with. And she was made to put it up to someone's head. It was another child, and pulled it.
One of the greatest difficulties in reporting a story like this one is that so much of it sounds so outrageous, too dreadful, too bizarre to be true. Well, here in Nebraska and elsewhere across this nation, concerned citizens have gotten together to defeat that disbelief. This organization is called Believe the Children. Its guiding principle, that the stories these young victims are telling are too widespread, too consistent not to be true.
The stories are so outrageous, and I am such an honest person, I assumed everybody would believe me. And to this day, I'll get in the middle of a story and I'll think, they're going to think I'm crazy. This sounds crazy. But when you begin to hear this same thing time and again, different stories, but the same horrible underlying things, the same behaviors in the kids, I just want to scream.
I'm a stranger. I come up to you and you tell me this story and I say, I don't believe you. How do you react? What do you do?
I just say, well, that's your right not to believe it. But someday, if you see something or you hear something from somebody else, just remember what you heard from me.
If we were lying, I don't think we would come up with such good lies.
Are you telling us the truth?
if this isn't true, I mean, you can do anything you want with me, but it's true.
So sad.
I don't see how anyone could read half of the stuff that these kids are talking about and not believe what they're saying. I don't see how anyone could sit here and look at how hard Geraldo Rivera went on this story and then basically immediately backtracked and said that he didn't believe it. How could someone see that and not think that someone got to him? Clearly, he hit a nerve with this story and almost cost himself his career. And this was back in the day when you'd actually still have decent reporting going on. Any reporter worth his salt, if he thought that he had a story that no one else knew about or that no one else had exposed, he was going to build a name for himself with it. Reporters would make a story about anything. But if this stuff was going on in the 80s, which I completely believe, and apparently going on for decades before that, why in the world would anyone think, especially with some of the stuff that we've seen revealed that these elitists are involved in today, why would anyone think that it's not still taking place? It's become glaringly obvious that a lot of these elitists are devil worshippers. It's become glaringly obvious that human trafficking is the worst issue that we face in this country, maybe in the entire world. It only makes sense that the two are connected and that the elitists, who seemingly never get caught, are the ones who are running the whole operation. This is one of the many reasons that we cannot allow them to get total control the way that they want it. None of our kids will be safe. None of us will be safe. They will have free reign to do whatever they want and will have to answer to no one.
This is why I think they made the Real ID such a big deal to finally enact this, because the Real ID is a federal ID. It's all of the states that participate in it, which is all of them. All the data goes into a federal database. So it essentially is a national ID. Every time you participate in that scanning and give your ID, that's your digital ID. So since the government has it, all they have to do is send everyone an email and say, here's your digital ID. That way you can't refuse it. It'll just be given to you because they already have your picture and your ID were given at the same place together, so they're linked, right? So that's why I think it's so important to refuse those. In fact, refuse every biometric scan. Like if you use your face to log into your iPhone, like stop doing that. If any app says, oh, scan your face and it'll be a quicker login, don't do that. Reverse that. Take it out of there. It may be true that they already have it, but they can't move to the next step unless enough people assent. Like if enough people go along with it, then they're like, okay, now we can go to the next step. But if enough people refuse, they won't be able to go to the next step. If those vaccine passports that you mentioned, if they took off and were wildly popular, we would already have a digital ID.
And now think about this. All they really have to do is go state by state and collect all the data from their DMVs, get everyone's driver's license with all their information attached to it with their photo, get everyone's regular photo ID for the people who just have that and don't have a driver's license because they can't get one, and then they just have to compile that stuff into their national system. They've got the entire thing set up and ready to launch. But if they were to just come out and tell us right now, they're probably only going to get about 30% of the country on board. They've got no choice but to convince everyone that this is a necessary thing. And the way they're going to do that is they're going to slowly and systematically destroy the entire economy. The only way this works, the only way they get the majority of the population to be on board with this, is if they wreck the economy to the degree that people start begging for it. Please take control so you can fix this mess. That's why everyone's warning, expect rolling blackouts, expect huge system crashes, expect people to start hacking into Verizon and all of our electric grid. This stuff is going to start occurring, but it's not people in other countries trying to attack the United States. It's going to be our own federal government. They need this stuff to happen. They need the entire economy to collapse so that they can rebuild from the ashes. And what they intend to rebuild will be a complete and total system of control.
As I will prove it here again, two different NASA missions claimed ownership of the same footage, making them liars. And the propagandists can't claim it's a simple mistake because both mission astronauts commented on the video as though they witnessed the event, and the second video was even altered slightly. Let's first watch the STS-32 mission, which launched on January 9th, 1990. I pulled the video from this channel, and the timestamp is there too in case you want to look it up yourself. I will fast forward to the footage at issue.
The most difficult part about a shuttle mission is getting a whole crew to...
I want to see rockets that big. You see some of the ice floating around as the external tank comes off after the fuel is expended. This is on orbit after 8.5 minutes. Again, from that same camera in the belly of the vehicle. Kind of a unique view of the external tank going down. This is the one part of the whole system that is not recovered. It breaks up in the atmosphere and lands in the Pacific Ocean in our case.
Now, let's watch the footage from STS-78, which was launched on June 20th, 1996. And this is where I pulled the video from. I'll fast forward again to the footage in question.
Here we are suiting up at the Kennedy Space Center for our launch on June 20th.
Well, it was just absolutely fantastic to be in space and see this great piece of American technology come off the external tank. It was really difficult for Rick and I to focus on getting pictures of this because here we saw the Earth and land masses and the oceans floating beneath us. But the external tank just did a super job.
Now let's watch the two separate videos synced. Remember, these videos were supposedly filmed over 6 years apart. If you're really paying attention, you might notice that the two videos are almost identical, but not 100%. Yes, they most certainly use the same footage, but the one on the right includes a few more particles, and I don't think it's just the increased brightness. Which means they manipulated the footage further, which only proves that this was willful deception.
Imagine being the first astronaut, and 6 years after you told your big lie, you feel like you got away with it. And then NASA, like a bunch of idiots, comes out and re-releases the same footage and has a new astronaut claim that he was there and not only witnessed this, but was part of filming it, making it blatantly obvious that both of you are lying. I bet that first guy is furious. And you have to ask yourself, if they'll lie about something that should be very easy to actually pull off if they're doing what they claim to be doing, then not only are they capable about lying about basically everything they say, but they likely are lying. I don't see how anyone trusts a word that NASA says. I just thought this was an awesome piece of evidence showing how corrupt NASA is, and I had to share it with everyone. I'd personally never seen it before.
The minute this video gets published, I know I'm going to get put on a list to be randomly drug tested at work. I work in the oil field. So Sarah, the HR lady, if you see this, and Tyler, the safety dude, if you see this, I'm not on drugs. I'm on the spectrum, okay? But I pass them every single time, so it's okay. And my boss thinks I'm hilarious. Anyway, you guys remember in 2015, something went viral on Facebook, and it was a dress. And all of us were seeing a different color. But some people were seeing black and blue. Some people were seeing white and gold. Let me show you, and tell me in the comments what color you guys see. You guys remember this? This ended relationships and friendships because we used to argue about what they see. I see gold and white, right? So now I went down the rabbit hole just to see how scientifically they are explaining this phenomenon. According to scientists, some are saying it could be because the mutation in the back of our eyes, like the cones, have mutated, so we're seeing different color combinations. But that's really weird because mutations are usually random. So if they're random in different people, that would mean that we would have seen a lot more different color combinations than we saw online of people saying, you know, just the two choices. So then I went and read another theory that stated, oh, well, it has to be with the phone and the filter, or like, you know, whatever they were viewing this picture on, depending on the filter that they were viewing it on, maybe that's why it changed colors. However, I literally asked people on my phone what color combination they saw, and each person saw something different, even though the phone is exactly the same. So I don't think that's the theory. So here's my theory, and it's just random thoughts. I think that we are living like in two separate realities, but parallel to each other, which is why we're seeing such a split in people and seeing and perceiving things so differently, even though we're watching the exact same thing. And I honestly think it had something to do with CERN turning it on, because ever since 2015, things just seemed really off. You know what I mean? Like super off. And it seems like we have two different realities. Like even with the Renee thing, some people see her hitting the police officer. Some people are like, no, she didn't hit it, even though they're watching the same video. So now I'm wondering, what if both sides are right in their own timeline? And we're just literally parallel living to people with a completely different reality than ours. Yeah, that's totally like crazy. I know it sounds insane, but like it kind of explains like the phenomenon and everything that we've been seeing around here.
I put this in here because I honestly don't come across very many new theories here lately, but I do remember this photo and I remember seeing it black and blue. And whenever I came across this video last night, I actually saw it again as black and blue, but I took a screenshot of it so that I could show the image to my wife and ask her what color she sees. I didn't see my wife until about 15 minutes after I'd looked at the video, and by that point I'd forgotten because I'd watched other content and I didn't even remember that I'd screenshotted the photo in order to show it to her. So this morning I'm sitting in the living room talking to my youngest daughter, and I pull my phone out to show her some pictures that I'd taken the night before. When you open the Photos app on your iPhone, it shows several side-by-side thumbnails showing basically the collection of your recent photos. The reason I put this in here is when I opened my phone this morning and glanced down at all of these thumbnails and I saw the small thumbnail with the screenshot in it of the black and blue dress, in that moment I saw it as gold and white. I don't understand how that's possible. Quickly, I clicked on it to open it up to full screen, and by that point I was seeing it again as black and blue. So I don't think that it's some parallel universe that explains this. I think it may be some other type of optical illusion that just plays a trick on your eyes, but I haven't come across anyone else who saw it two different ways. I just thought that was really wild and wanted to ask all of you, looking at that photo, have you experienced it in both color options? I thought for a long time that it was just black and blue, and all of the people who were claiming to see it in gold and white were making it up just to sound different. So I couldn't believe it when this morning I looked at it and saw it as gold and white. And I've looked at it a dozen or so times since then, and it keeps appearing black and blue to me, but I did see it as gold and white. I just think that's kind of mind-melting. I don't know what could possibly explain that. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I apologize for not getting a video posted yesterday. I had some personal stuff that kept me from it, but I'm actually going to try to post tomorrow as well. I don't know if that's going to happen because I do intend to go to church in the morning, and I don't know how much free time I'll have available afterward to be able to work on a video, but if I can pull it off, I do intend to post tomorrow. But guys and gals, I hope everyone enjoyed these clips we watched together today. God willing, I will be back tomorrow with another one. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to click the like button. Don't forget to drop your theories and your comments in the comments section down below. But guys and gals, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic Saturday, and I will see you all tomorrow.